Hello, welcome to a new edition of Patrice's Projects. Today I wanted to introduce you to some of my children. And first of all, here's the one that wants to take the camera. This is Sprite. Oh, you're winking. That was so cute. Oh, you got something in your eye? Okay, and let me show you where some of my other children are. They're in there. I keep them in a photography light. So let me show you. Here are some of my babies that I keep indoors. Because these ones, the herbs are going, I'm going to make little herb pots. Okay, this one over here, sweet marjoram. And I have a pot of those outside, but I want some inside because with the rains we've been having this year, I don't really want to go outside and grab marjoram. Here it is. This is my cilantro. And the first one that grew in another pot, I don't see it, I think it's outside. I'm hardening off some plants outside. I'll show you those too. This one here has two stems. When it first started in the other pot, I thought that I accidentally dropped both seeds in one hole. So I plucked one off and I ate it, and it was delicious. And when these grew, I knew that I only put one seed in each hole. And I think I may have put 3 seeds in there. 2 popped up. And this time I did not pluck that second one. And see how strong that is? That's how they grow. And this back here, this little guy here, is a backup sage because when they first grew, I thought I had too much fertilizer in my soil because the little seed leaves here, right here, these are curled a bit and it didn't look healthy, so I thought, oh man, that's not going to do well. So I went ahead and planted 3 seeds in there. Only 1 grew. But look what happened here. Here's my sage, right here. I'm not very good with camera yet, I'll learn. And I have 2 of them. I planted 2 seeds in each pot. And they sit like this for a long time. And then all of a sudden, they grow. Boop, like that. And these ones here are the spicy globe basil. And sometime I'll show you a picture on the packet. But it's supposed to grow into a round type. I need a longer arm. A round bush. So I'm going to grow, this one here is the one I'm growing for me, right there. And I'm going to clip the top soon because I want it to bush out more. But you see in there, all those little branches right here, down here. So it's branching out really nice and it has smaller leaves, so it'll be a nice little houseplant. And I'm growing one for my sister and my brother and his wife. And then this one's the spare. This one I actually just plucked out. Boop, and the roots looked intact, so I put it in this empty pot here because nothing grew there. And it's thriving. Down there, rosemary grows so slow. I didn't know. I have been trying to grow rosemary for a long time, so I ended up buying a plant. That's that one outside. This here, I have several other tomatoes, but this one does not go outside because this one is going to be my indoor plant. This is called a rhodade, and I bought the seed online, and it said it's good for container gardening, and I went to another site. I just typed in rhodade on Google and for more information on it, and it also said it's a good container tomato. And so when I start growing, I was telling my husband I'll get another pot for outside and grow it out there in a pot and then one in the ground. And he said, well, why don't you just keep it inside? And that's kind of what I was hoping for, but I didn't think he would go for it. So that is my rhodade, very beautiful plant. So these are my indoor plants, and these ones will probably remain indoors except one of the sages is going to go out, probably one of these big guys, I don't know. One should go to my sister, I'll take the little one out. Or plant in the ground. Okay, let's go outside. Earlier I mentioned that I was hardening off some plants outside, and hardening off is when you're preparing the plants for to go in the garden. When you're growing plants indoors and using either like daylight from your window, or as I'm doing, I'm using grow lights, or actually mine are photography lights, because I'm using a photography stand with a big hood over it. Mine holds 5 light bulbs, and my light bulbs look like this. I don't know if you can see that. So these bulbs are pretty big, but they're not real big, not compared to a lot of other ones that are actually made for growing. These are 45 watt, 120 volt, it says right there. And what matters is the watts and the light spectrum. These are 5500K spectrum, so they're full spectrum light bulbs. And you want a full spectrum light bulb so that your plants have good growth, and at 6500K they say they fruit, but other people have fruited using 5000K indoors. So I'm hoping, because I'm planning on growing the one tomato inside strictly, so we're going to see how that goes. So these are the plants that I'm hardening off, and what I do is I bring them out during the day. Today is cloudy, so even though it's a cloudy day, they're still getting better sunlight or light than if I'm using my photography lighting indoors. And a lot of people start them off in the shade on their porch or something like that for a few hours, then bring them back in, and then you put them in direct sunlight for a few hours, like the next day or a couple days later. Just get them gradually more and more used to being outdoors in the full sunlight until they're outdoors, several hours, like I don't know, 6 hours, and then they're ready for planting in the ground. That could take a week, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, I'm not sure, but I bring mine out every day, and I've been doing that for about 5-6 days now. And I don't plan to put them in the ground. I'm going to let my bed sit for about a week before putting these babies in the ground. But I want to show you some of the plants. This is one of my jalapenos. And you see the nice big leaves on it. This jalapeno was planted at the same time. When I put them in the little cell pack, it was similar to this little cell pack here, only the cells were a little smaller. And I planted 2 seeds in each. Both seeds sprouted in all but one of the cell packs, or cells. So I ended up with 8. I only really need 2 jalapenos, but I'm going to grow lots of jalapenos and hopefully share some. And what I did is I couldn't get myself to pull out and toss the little baby, so I dug the second one out with a spoon and then put it into its own little cup like that. And I have heard that peppers, to some degree, will get more roots along the stem like a tomato. So when I repotted these, I don't know if you can see it, but I cut off the little seed leaves, and then I planted some of the stem further down in the soil. So we're going to see how that does. It does seem to be making my peppers a lot stronger, as well as the lighting. And I did the same. I did the Praxxus Method with my tomatoes. And let me show you those. I'll get a little bit closer with those. Okay, here's some of my tomatoes. These ones are called Cosmonaut Volkovs. Oh, they're all tangled up. Oh, so what I did is I used what's called the Praxxus Method, and people have just named it that, and someone named Ray Browning at Praxxus 55712, he developed a way of growing tomatoes where you seed them very shallowly, and as they grow, you put more and more dirt up the stem, and you remove the little seed leaves, and the stem of tomatoes will grow more roots. So by doing that, you're making a much stronger plant, and as you see, look how sturdy this tomato is. It's real sturdy. And so I used his method, and I've grown better tomatoes than I've ever grown before. This is a Cosmonaut Volkov, and this is a type of seed I've never grown before, but it's supposed to be a big tomato, and so I'm going to try growing those. Oh, another thing. Also, I learned that by cutting off the growing tip, you're going to get more growth out of the sides. A lot of people, see this little thing here? I don't know if you can see it. There's a branch starting to branch out here. And people call those suckers, and a lot of people remove them, thinking they're a bad thing, they're going to take away from the plant and you'll get less fruit. But by leaving those, you're going to get a nice low-growing plant, so you don't need a bunch of caging and all this other stuff to hold it up. Plus, you have more branches to grow all your fruit on. So we're going to see how that works out for me, but already, using his method, I've grown some awesome tomato plants. These aren't actual branches, these are leaf sets. So look how nice and big those are. And I have a few different kinds of tomatoes going on here. That's another cosmonaut. I've been trying to grow this Polish linguiça, and this is another one that Ray had grown before, and that's what got me started on this one. I have had the hardest time. This is a finicky plant, trying to grow these things. This is another one. This one is actually, let's see, this one was planted January 4th. That's all I got. And I've just been struggling trying to keep these babies alive, but this is my only healthy one. And this one was planted January 14th. And so this one is a paste tomato. And it grows these huge pepper-shaped tomatoes, and they're almost all flesh and almost no goo. So I'm really excited to grow some of these. The taste is supposed to be excellent, and it looks like by cutting off the growing stem, I'm already getting my suckers growing. So really excited. Oh, there's one down here too. Really excited about growing this one, and follow along and we'll see how this does.